2020 yearly makeup favorites. Woo! I know everyone kind of does these videos differently to them. Some people do it so that they can only talk about makeup that's been released in 2020. Others do it like whatever they've picked up that's their favorite, blah, blah, blah. I am going to do it that it has to be a makeup product that I have tried in 2020, not before 2020. I have to have tried it in 2020 for the first time, but it doesn't have to be released in 2020 for the first time. So for example, one of the products might have been released 5 years ago, but I only tried it right now in this year. So maybe it's a 2020 favorite for me, because I am sick and tired of this whole, like, it has to be a new makeup product for it to be relevant or for us to care about it. I'm over it. I'm done with that. Makeup is makeup, in my opinion. If you haven't tried it, it's a new product. And if you love it, it doesn't, who cares? I don't know if that little rant was relevant there, but anyway, we went on it.
Are you done?
So let's go ahead and get started, because it's probably going to be a long video knowing how I talk. Feel free to go and get yourself a little bicky and a little cup of tea. Settle on in. Maybe get a cocktail. You might need it to watch me. Also, I am a very picky bitch. So if these products are on this list, it means that I freaking love them. So if I'm just like, oh, it's good, it's not on the list. It's like, I freaking love this product. Like, I freaking love it. So first category is primer. Now, normally I am not a primer person. Very rarely. I only currently have 2 primers in my collection. Actually, that's a lie. I have 4, but 2 of them I'm trying to finish them. They just won't die. But I only have 2 primers in my collection that I have purchased this year. And one of them, as you may know from a couple of my previous videos, is the Stila One Step Correct Primer, which is an oldie. It is an oldie. It is actually one of the products that I talked about in my older makeup, still on my wish list, which I'll link up here down below. I love it. I love it. I don't know if it's just because I don't use a lot of primers and try a lot of primers, but I really like this. It does a really nice job of evening out my skin tone. Not like I have like red skin at the moment. It's not gonna like color correct you flawlessly, okay? It's not gonna do that. It's still like a sheer kind of primer, but it does kind of just calm everything down just a smidge. It fills in the pores just a smidge, and it just hydrates in a really nice way. Now, foundation. Some of the categories I have 2 products, some I have 1, that kind of a thing. 2 foundations that I did find this year that I do really, really enjoy, that I do constantly reach for as well, is the YSL All Hours foundation, which was a super shock to me that I actually enjoyed this foundation. Now, it is the foundation that I'm wearing today, and honestly, it looks cakier and heavier than it normally would, because my skin is just looking like a haggard old bag at the moment, to be completely honest with you. Doesn't matter what I'm gonna wear on my face, it's just gonna look that way. But I really like this foundation because I like how full coverage it is. Like, it is full coverage. It's not as full coverage as the Jouer foundation, but it is close. But I also like that this is matte without being extremely drying on the skin, at least for my combo oily skin. The other foundation that I absolutely fell in love with this year is the L'Oreal 24-Hour Infallible Fresh Wear Foundation. Now, so many people have raved about this foundation in the past, and I always just was like, yeah, sure, I'm sure it's great, whatever. And I'd never really tried it before. This year I decided to give it a go. I don't know why. I think maybe Priceline had like 50% off or something. So I picked it up to give it a go, and I have never looked back. It's a beautiful everyday foundation. Everyday foundation. I tend to really love this foundation more so for like photos and camera. Like when I'm filming YouTubes and stuff. This is something that if I'm going to work or I'm going to like shopping or anything like that out in the daytime, this is the foundation I reach for. It's very, very lightweight. It's smoothing on the skin. It doesn't settle in fine lines. It's full, like it's buildable coverage. I wouldn't say it's full coverage, but it's definitely like almost like pretty full. I would say it's generally a solid medium coverage though, at least in my experience, but it's just beautiful and it doesn't break me out. It's a really, really I wouldn't say it's underrated because it's highly rated, but yeah, it's just a really, really beautiful foundation. Next up is concealer, and honestly, there is only one concealer that I can possibly say, and I have tried some concealers this year, let me assure you of that. It's the Pat McGrath Labs concealer, and I think this actually did come out this year, so go me 2020. I have a full review on this. I'll link it up there and down below. Plus all these products as well will be linked down below in the description box for you if you're interested, with shades as well, if you are kind of similar to me and wondering what my shade is. Holy grail. I love this concealer so much. It is just stunning. Just stunning. It is smoothing on the under eyes. It doesn't emphasize texture. It doesn't dry them out. It is pretty full coverage. I wouldn't say it's like the most full coverage you will ever get. Tarte Shape Tape is probably more full coverage, but in saying that, Tarte Shape Tape is also very drying on the under eyes, or not very, at least in my experience, but it's pretty drying, whereas this is not drying. Like this is smoothing. This is like, if you're 30 or over, or even late 20s or over, you're gonna love this, because your age starts to happen at about 27, let me assure you. Okay, so now let's talk about powders. And I think there is, if you've seen any of my videos, there's no doubt in anyone's mind what my all-time favorite powder is. And there is actually two, and they're different reasons, I guess. So the first one is the Pat McGrath Under Eye Blurring Powder. So this is in the color Light. This is a filter in a compact. This is phenomenal. I want all of the blurring. I'm not one of these people that's like, skin has texture. It does have texture, and that's awesome, and I'm totally accepting of that. But if I could have a filtered look in real life, I want a filtered look in real life. You know what I mean? I'm okay with it. I'm okay with my vanity the way that it is. Now, this is that. This is a filter in real life. Like, it just smooths. It smooths. If you have super dry skin, you may not like this, or you may just want to use the absolute most sparing amount you can possibly use, because it is a little bit drying. But if you have combo oily skin, it's phenomenal. If you have like, yeah, I'm gonna say it, aging under eyes, you're gonna love it as well, because it's smoothing. It makes you look like about 5 years younger. Maybe that's an exaggeration, and maybe no one thinks I do look younger when I wear this, but that's how I feel. And no one will take that away from me. Won't you bring me down today? Now, my other powder, which is my face powder, and previously I have been a loose powder loving hoe.
She was a hoe. For show.
But I discovered a new powder this year that has knocked my little socks off. And I don't know if I'm ever gonna get over it, to be completely honest with you. And it is the CoverGirl Clean and Fresh Pressed Powder. Fuck me, these are good. Holy crap. I first tried this because Taylor Wynn had it in like her updated foundation routine or something like that.
I saw Katie Heron wearing army pants and flip-flops, so I bought army pants and flip-flops.
And she was talking about how she puts the color Fair, which is this one. I have three. So I have light, fair, and translucent, because you just never know what you're going to be in the mood for. But she was saying how she puts the color Fair on her under eyes, which sometimes I do if I want to use a lighter coverage concealer and I want to put a little bit more coverage on top. But otherwise I have light, which you can see I have used quite a lot of this one. Maybe you can see, maybe you can't, but I'm probably almost nearly hitting pan on this already. I really like this for setting my face all over at the moment. Now, when I want a lot more full coverage, I use a powder puff to set my face with this. But when I want just like probably more so like on the everyday where I just want to set my face with a bit of powder, I use a giant fluffy brush. This is just a BH Cosmetics marble brush, and I just kind of like pat it all over my face. Now, for someone who has been setting their face with translucent powder, they're pretty much for the last 5 to 6 years with a powder puff and like pressing it in, because I have combo oily skin, to be able to get a brush and just like tap it in and press this all over, and it will set my face for the entire day, plus add a little coverage so we get a little bit more filtered look, a little bit more perfection. And it smooths my pores out and all of that kind of stuff. I reckon I could talk about this powder for 20 minutes, honestly. That's how much I love it.
Hey champ, that's really interesting. Next time, keep it to yourself.
Okay, so let's move on to the rest of the face products. Highlighter, I don't have anything new for this year that's like blown me away or anything. In fact, if you have any highlighter recommendations, can you pop them down below? Because I do want to try some new ones. I just haven't found any that's like tickle my pickle, if you know what I mean. Bronzer, on the other hand, I've tried about 70 million of those this year, and I have loved nearly all of them. However, I think the standout for me has definitely been the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush bronzer. And I know I do have a review on this as well. I'll link it up there and down below. It works beautifully for me. It really does. It's the bronzer that I'm wearing today. I really like this shade. It is the right shade for my skin. Now, this is the color 2 medium, which is an absolute fucking joke, because this should be light, because I'm light skinned. So that's wrong. The shade range definitely needs some work, and I think she is actually bringing out more shades of this. But I personally find this bronzer to really kind of airbrush, to do what it says it's gonna do, which is airbrush. The thing that I like about this bronzer is that it's very buildable. So you don't have to be super, super careful with how much you put your brush in. For example, the Cover FX Monochromatic Bronzer Duo, you need to just use the barest of touches with that bronzer, because if you go in any more than that, it is like bronzer. Like it's just too much. Whereas this one, you can kind of be like, me, 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 me. You don't have to really think about it too hard to put it on. It just looks nice as soon as you put it on. Hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, this is definitely the bronzer of the year for me. I love it. I love it a lot.
I like it a lot.
Let's talk about blush. Now, I'm not a massive blush person. I don't buy a lot of blushes because it's not something that you go through a lot, and I still have a lot in my collection that I would rather use. However, Patrick Tar is a makeup artist that I absolutely adore, and so when he brought out his powder and cream blush duos this year, I decided that I had to have one. So I got one, and it definitely did not disappoint. I'm not someone that super loves a cream blush. This is in the color She's That Girl, by the way, which is like the pinky peachy type one, I guess you would call it. And then like this is the cream side right here. So I'm not a massive cream blush lover, and I know that this year was really the year of cream blush. So I kind of wanted to get on the trend, but I also didn't want to commit to like a full cream blush because it's not massively my vibe. And this was the perfect option for me because one, you can use this cream blush over powder. So I love that about this formula. It is super pigmented, so use a very sparing hand, but that does mean that one, the product's gonna last you forever, and two, it blends out beautifully. So even though it's super pigmented, if you do go in with a heavy hand, it's very easy to just like pat it out again and kind of like sheer it out, which is awesome. I do really like this powder blush as well. It's absolutely stunning. I love that these are monochromatic and like matching. This is my blush of the year. I really love it. So finishing off kind of like the base products would be setting spray, and I don't actually have a setting spray this year that's like new that I've tried this year. I do still really love the Morphe Continuous Setting Spray. However, I'm phasing Morphe products out of my collection because I just don't wish to continue to support them. So yeah. If you could let me know your setting spray recommendations down below, that would actually be awesome and very helpful to me. I'm currently just using the NYX Dewy Finish because this is like an old fave, but again, this is an old fave. So let's move into the eyes. Let's start with brows. Now, brows this year have definitely been something that has changed for me, and I think, again, oh, I'm kind of cheating because this is a product that I tried last year, but I do have to admit that the ColourPop brow pencils, they're so good. Honestly, they're so good. I forgot how much I liked these. And it's like $5 or something like that, and you can get a discount or whatever. So yeah, I really recommend the ColourPop brow pencils, to be completely honest with you. I just love them. And for brow gel, it definitely has to be this grapefruit soak from the Body Shop. It was $5 Australian, so I'm guessing if you're in the US or the UK, it's gonna be even cheaper than that. And I just like give it a little spritz with my setting spray, rub my spoolie in it, and it's the brow gel that's in my brows today, and it just makes them look like that soap brow look. Also, this was $5 and this is gonna last me a freaking lifetime, so that's my brow gel of 2020. And yeah, it's like glue in the brows, because I've got to admit, I've been struggling to find a brow gel that actually holds my brows up and keeps them up all day, especially with like this part of my hair hanging over. Normally it will like push the Normally it'll like push the brow hairs down, and I don't want that in my life. The soap does not do that. So it's the winner of 2020. Okay, so for eyeshadow palettes, I'm not gonna go into these very in depth because I do have reviews on all of these ones that I'm gonna talk about, and I really honestly don't anticipate this to be a surprise at all if you have watched any of my videos. So again, all of the reviews and products and everything will be linked up there and down below. But I have two brands of eyeshadow palettes, or like one specific eyeshadow palette from one brand, and then just in general, the eyeshadow palettes from one brand that are my all-time favorites that I have tried this year. The one that absolutely takes the cake for me is obviously the Pat McGrath Mothership palettes.
Duh.
I don't even know what else to tell you. If you've seen any of my videos, You know how much I love these palettes. I now have 5 in my collection. I started with none at the start of the year. I now have 5. I am very, very fortunate for that. Trust me, I am well aware. So I now have 5 in my collection. I have Midnight Sun, I have Sublime, I have Subversive, and then Divine Rose 1 and 2. Pat McGrath does. I love these shadows so much. I find the color story of these shadows, like of these palettes, just so inspiring. Like, doesn't matter what kind of look I'm creating, whether it's an everyday look or an artistic look or whatever it is that I'm creating, I just love them. I love the unique formulas that she has in these palettes. Like, honestly, these shadows up here are just something to behold. Like, they are so special, so unique. The mattes blend themselves, they're gorgeous, they're pigmented. Even the metallics, like, they're just so buttery and perfect. And yes, it is very, very expensive. It is a luxury makeup product, but it feels that way. Like, the whole experience, from the packaging and the artwork of the packaging that you get them into, how heavy the eyeshadow palette is and feels. I can't even tell you how much I love the Pat McGrath Mothership palettes. The other eyeshadow palette that I do have to give a really, really honorable mention for, because it also just has a little spot in my heart, is the ColourPop Wild Nothing palette. Now, I've raved about this palette in quite a few videos now, so you probably already know how I feel about it. And actually, I got all of my best friends this palette for Christmas as well, just because I wanted them to share in the love of this palette. I just think this is a beautiful, beautiful everyday palette. The mattes work exceptionally well. They blend beautifully. The shimmers, or the metallics in here are just buttery and super pigmented and go on really, really easily. The last product for the eye category is mascara. And again, if you've seen any of my videos on my Instagram or anything like that, this should come as no surprise to you. But my mascara of the year is the Kosas Big Clean Mascara.
Wow.
Now this one, it's officially empty. I used it today on my lashes, but it was a struggle. It's definitely done. It's finished. I love this mascara so much. There's multiple things that I love about this mascara. The biggest one is that it's a clean formula, so it's no nasties or toxins in here that's gonna like irritate my eyes. The second is that it has castor oil and some other ingredient, I can't remember off the top of my head, that helps to grow your lashes. So while I'm wearing my mascara, I'm also like potentially growing them. I don't know if it's worked, but I'm happy with the is it placebo effect? Let's go with that. I also love that this kind of gives me almost like false lashes with just mascara, because I'm not wearing any false lashes, and I think that my lashes look pretty good, if I do say so myself. So I love that it gives me that effect. I also love that when I have a shower and I kind of like take my makeup off at the end of the day and I use my makeup oil, it just melts off. It's not hard. I don't have to like really rub. I don't have to really try. It just washes off super seamlessly, super easily. It's like a trifecta. Good ingredients, helps your lashes, makes them look like falsies, and comes off easily at the end of the day. What more could you want? I don't know. My last category is lips, and honestly, I don't have a lot of lip products to talk about, but the ones that I do have to talk about are probably going to be no surprise to you guys. So the first one is the Tower 28 lip jellies. Now I have the color Chill and XOXO. These are beautiful. These are really hydrating and nourishing on the lips. You can definitely use these more like as like a lip balmy type thing, and they have a bit of a shine to them. Love them, not sticky. Can't rave about the Tower 28 lip glosses enough. I really just can't. You can't go past them. Also, they're only 22 Australian dollars, which is actually a really good price point considering that this is also a clean beauty brand. And if you're wondering where you can get them from, you can get them from Revolve. And last but not least, and these are a very new product to me, and I'm gonna like caveat this as like the product in general, but I do really love these. This is the Fenty Gloss Bomb in the cream version. So this is the color Fenty Glow, which is the original, and then Mauve Wives. And I do also have the other 3 colors that she brought out, which I also love as well. I just really love the Gloss Bomb formula in general. I don't think it would come as a surprise to anyone that I love that formula, but I do really love the cream one as well, just because it doesn't have that shimmer in it, and just, I'm actually wearing the Mauve Wives on my lips now, and it's, again, it just looks almost like a lipstick, but it's not quite. It's not uncomfortable, it's not drying, it's just, and it doesn't budge. I actually wore the red one, which is called Fruit Snacks, on top of a Huda Beauty red lipstick for Christmas Day, and it just didn't budge all day. So for being a gloss, like, and it's not budging all day, it was perfection. Okay, so we have reached the end. If you are still watching, you get a pat on the back. That's basically all of my holy grail products that I have tried for 2020. Like I said, I'm a super picky bitch, so for it to be in this video, it means it's like top tier product, in my opinion. Now, like I said, again, we're all different, we're all unique, so just keep that in mind. Naturally, what I want to hear from you guys is, what is your 2020 favorites? Now, it doesn't have to be a whole list like mine, but what is even just one product that was like the standout of 2020 for you? Maybe it's something that I haven't heard of or thought of or purchased yet, and I need to know about it and test it myself. Let me know in the comments down below, what is your holy grail 2020 product? I'm dying to know. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you can give it a thumbs up, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I truly appreciate it. And if you were watching to this point, I'm sure this was a long one, so thank you. It actually, like, I joke, but it actually means so much to me that even one person watches my video, especially to this point. So thank you so much if you are. I hope you have an amazing day wherever you are in the world, and I will see you next time. Bye.